Planning Board meeting will now come to order. Could I have a roll call?
John Eichman.
Steve Caswell.
Michael O'Brien.
Lori G.
Ed Miyoshi.
Chris Tamulonis.
Jason Paraskiva.
And if you would all join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Before I get into our next agenda item, I just wanted to say welcome to Christopher Tamulonis joining the board as our new alternate. Nice to have you here, and thank you very much. And we look forward to working with you. So, the next upcoming meeting dates we have are April 16th and May 21st. And before we jump into our first public hearing, I just wanted to provide a reminder to the board. We have, and I think you saw an email come out from Pam on Friday of a couple of education classes for us. We all have an education requirement of 4 hours. So if everybody is free to take that, it's a good opportunity. If not, we'll find a few more to pass along to us during the course of the year. But we should all plan to complete the 4 hours during the course of this year. Okay. Our second item on the agenda, is a public hearing for Taylor Ray. Pam, do we have everything we need to open the public hearing?
Am I taking the commander's chair or am
I think so. That'll let you do the laptop
Wow.
thing and the map all at the same time.
Try to pretend it's a grand jury.
While we're getting the map situated, do I have a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
All right, Brian Stokosa from MA Day Engineering. This is an amended site plan. This is the old Taylor Ray building. If you're to get familiar with the parcel, this is Flores Mobile.
Brian, do you have the plan that we can put up on the board so that you can, because we
Computer.
can't hear you when you turn away from the mic. That's why I'm
Computer
asking.
wasn't on, so it's starting.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
All right.
All right, I'll talk from here.
That's fine.
The Flores Mobile is located at the intersection of the Deconic and Route 82. Taylor Ray building is located behind Flores. Currently services several dentists, and what they'd like to do is expand the existing parking area. There was a parking lot improvement that was done toward the Deconic side. The applicant, I don't think, realized that it was within the 100-foot buffer that's associated with the Deconic. So as part of this amended site plan, we're going to do restoration of any improvements that were done next to the Deconic. We're going to restore the grass surface. We're going to add some pine trees that were removed and restore it to its approved condition. As part of that, I think the last time we spoke, Michelle and I were going to take a trip out there and make sure that the trees were put in the right places based upon screening from the Deconic. That way, we can have an idea of where they should go versus how they are presented on the plan. Toward the southern end of the parcel, we're proposing to remove a couple of parking spots and extend the parking lot. The use that's being expanded is kind of employee heavy. So what we're going to try to do is, with this expanded parking area, put the employees to the south and then leave the front of the building for customers that come in and out of the dentist's office. The project is located within the floodplain, and what we're proposing to do is install the parking lot finish grade at the existing grade. That way we don't impact the floodplain that runs through the parcel. And comments that were brought up by the consultants were minor in nature. We'll work with, obviously, the town engineer, town planner to resolve any minor issues that they raised. We'll update the set and erosion control plan to address some of Rick's comments. As-built requirement is asked for, and other than that, there's no real major items here that I think are an issue.
So I think one of Rick's comments was that he wanted to make sure that you didn't place any fill in the floodplain itself. So how much do you expect to have to distribute to the rest of the site or off?
There's actually, through the benefits of CAD, we can kind of play with the elevation. So we're actually removing 2 cubic yards of material. So I'm assuming that 2 yards of material we can spread probably in the area of, take it off of site. Actually, because actually, if you look at the floodplain maps, almost the entire parcel's in the floodplain. So I don't think we can spread it without causing an impact.
Okay. And then, Michelle, the use of the building, the expansion of the is dental office, is that correct? It's not a change of use, it's just an expansion of the medical
Correct.
use? So you've looked at the parking calculation?
Correct. So what I did was I assumed the building is 9,000 square feet, and I just made the assumption that the entire building is for medical dental use. And the parking requirement for that is 150 square feet for one space for every 150 square feet of,
Okay.
and which is 60 spaces. So he's providing 62 spaces, 60 pretty much on the site, and then there's 2 additional spaces along the site driveway that are not as close to the building as the rest of the spaces, so it's unclear whether or not those would be used except for if there was no other parking anywhere else. But he does have the parking requirement.
Okay. Do we have, I'm assuming there's adequate lawn for snow removal and things like that. What about the waste removal?
Yeah, there's adequate, we have a refuse enclosure that's existing.
And it's not disturbed by any of the change to the parking lot or anything?
No.
There was the issue about, Brian, I think one of the drawings had the old lining of the parking lot and then the new, and it looked like there was potential for a couple of spots in the mouth of the new thing. So when we get the map up, if we could just take a look at that, because I get the feeling that was just, it was the versioning of the lining,
Yeah,
of the striping, rather.
try to maximize this. All right, let's go to page 2. So I assume you're talking about,
Just orient us with the roads.
okay,
Right.
so here is the building here. Here is the exit, this is the exit ramp from the Deconic coming in a southerly direction. Flores Mobile is right
Okay.
here. And then Route 82 is right here at the mouth of the piece. So what you do is you come in through the access drive. There's an existing building here that's currently a mixed martial arts center. And then as you drive through and over the Waterkill Creek, you enter into the existing parking area here. This was the area that we spoke about, that we are going to mitigate. There was a parking lot improvement. Applicant didn't realize he was in the 100-foot buffer, so as part of this action, we're going to detail this to be restored to its approved condition. Again, we're going to meet with Michelle on site to place the pine trees that were removed in locations that will shield any view shed from the Deconic exiting or entering onto the southbound lane. Over here is the existing parking lot, and what we propose to do is remove these spaces right in this general area here, and then expand out as far as we can. This will be devoted to employee parking, and we'll try to keep customer parking in the front of the building. With that parking area in the back, we are going to sign it with employee parking only. And then to shield the adjacent properties and people entering the Covered Bridge subdivision, in this area here, we propose, I believe it's 11 or 12 pine trees staggered with various species to provide additional shielding. If I go to the page 2.
I was going to say, can you just orient us to where the closest home would be?
So here is the building currently. This is the dental office building here. There is a 40-foot wide conservation easement here, which is This is all greened, it's all canopied, existing vegetation. The current residence that's to our west is located almost right directly in line with the existing building, so the existing house is right here. So what we propose to do is extend screening along our rear line and toward the covered bridge.
Okay. Questions or comments from board members?
No, the point that I brought up was for the ones that you showed are being removed, so. Because again, if they were still there, it would be a tough
Right.
to get that thing in there, but,
Yes.
okay.
So I think we're removing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spaces in that area.
And Michelle, are you comfortable with that the landscaping that will be replaced, that was originally removed in the buffer area, there's no significant change planned for that area? It's just to restore it back pretty much to the way it,
Correct.
as
and-
close as possible to the way it was?
Correct, and I'd like to also just meet also with Brian on the other end with the landscaping, because I just want to make sure that the views from the subdivision as well are appropriately buffered. So I would ask that we do the field work on that end as well.
Okay.
Actually, what about lighting? Is there any lighting going on in the employee parking?
So if you look at, if you look at the screen, I'll point you to it. There is an existing light fixture that is right, almost where the tip of that hand is. So I want to say it's the second parking space in looking west. What we're going to do is we're going to take that and move it toward the front of the parking area. We're going to add one additional light back in this corner here at the rear parking lot. The way the light casts, it's enough to illuminate the parking lot where we don't have to extend any lighting further toward Covered Bridge or toward the applicant behind the parcel.
Basically, no light leaves the site.
Right,
Okay.
right.
And I'm assuming the one that borders your top edge, you'll have shielding, appropriate shielding on the light itself, so
Yep.
it only reflects back towards the,
It only reflects back and will be, I believe they're full cutoff that we specified.
okay. Other questions or comments from board members? Michelle, anything that we haven't gone over yet?
No, we covered everything.
Okay.
You
Scott or
spoke about
Tom?
the restoration of the area previously disturbed.
Yes.
We did, yep. And Michelle's going to meet Brian out at the site to review the landscape plan for that restoration, as well as the buffer, the extension of the buffer area on the other side. Okay, if there's no other questions from board members, this is a public hearing. Do we have anybody from the public that would like to offer comment on this application? If you'd like to offer comment, we just ask that when you come up, we'll have you sign in. We have a checklist here just so we can capture your name for our minutes correctly. And then I'm assuming Pam will use the podium for members of the public. So is there anyone who'd like to offer comment on this application? Going once? Going twice? Okay. Okay. So Michelle, I don't have any open items that would prevent us from closing the public hearing. Okay, so do I have a motion to close?
So moved.
Second. A motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
And Brian, we would put you on our April 16th meeting for decision.
Okay. Michelle, I assume I'll drop you an email. Do we have to meet, do we have to meet on site before that April 16th meeting, or how does the board?
We can condition for it. I mean, if it works, great. I know it's this time of year with weather, may or may not cooperate. Are you comfortable with that, Michelle?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next item on our agenda is a discussion for an amended site plan with Villa Negrelli.
You know, Brian, you're picking up skills, you can make a great party DJ. You know? You're talking while you're spinning these things, it's just, you know, it's a great skill to have.
I was impressed with the last one.
Yeah, I
you-
was too.
It was great.
Never lost its place.
I fake it well.
This is the garden.
That's all canceled. Continue. Get out, come on, here we go. All right. So this is the Villa Negrelli site. It's located on Carpenter Road. If you haven't been there, stop by, some pretty good food. This is an existing restaurant that's been in use, in existence for a long time. It used to be the old Mascout's restaurant. And what the applicant would like to do is utilize the second floor to add some additional seating. I think we're asking for an additional 20 seats, I believe, up top, plus or minus. In doing so, a couple things come into play. The parking lot's existing. The parking lot consists of an asphalt surface, and there's also a gravelled area toward the east of the property. Septic area is located in the back, well is located in the front. And with this expansion, for the expansion required, we need a total of 50 spaces. With this plan that we're showing here, we're showing 54 spaces. So it involves a restriping and a reconfiguration of the existing parking lot.
Brian, can you just blow that up a little bit, please?
Yeah, I was gonna try to see how to do that.
Up on top.
I don't know if I can go full screen mode with that.
On the bottom is a percentage, you see it?
Let me see if I can go bigger. Does it go full screen? Yeah. I'm getting there. A little bit less. How's that?
Okay.
Okay. All right, so here's the existing building here. Here is Carpenter Road along the front here. This is the Taconic Parkway. On this side here, we're going north. This is the northbound lane. This area in here that I'm showing here with the finger is all asphalt. So what we're proposing to do is we would propose to seal coat the asphalt and then come in with a restriping plan that would show some handicap parking up front near the entrance. We would have two-way access in. This hatched area in here is currently gravel. So what we would do would come in with a 24-foot lane to be two-way traffic. And then we would start establishing our parking spaces along the property line here. The thought was to delineate these spaces in the gravel area with concrete bumper blocks. And then on this side is where we are asphalt. So this would obviously be striping. These hatched areas in the center of the parking lot would be striped. So we would keep the parking lot essentially in its current form. We have some parking spaces in the back here. This area right here, there's a retaining wall. And this area right here is the existing septic area. To maximize parking spaces, we did a series of 8 parking spaces stacked, so it's 4 and 4. This would be designated for employee parking. There would be employee parking signs, and that way we could keep customers in the front and toward the side. I'm showing a dumpster location here. I talked to the applicant, and just knowing that snow removal is a bit of a concern because this site is constrained, is to take this dumpster location, relocate it toward the side, and then we could push the snow back into this existing gravel area and do snow storage in this area here. It would take, I believe, the volume of the storage area for a majority of the parking lot. The applicant has the ability to push snow in this area here. There's no retaining wall here. With any additional seat count with a restaurant, we're obviously forced to go to the Board of Health. We made an application to the Board of Health specific to their septic capacity. We did an analysis based upon their current water usage, and the applicant has taken the time to go through and install low-flow water fixtures. So his actual water usage rate is extremely low for the amount of volume that he does within the restaurant. So the Board of Health came back and issued a letter that we need to do some further investigation and/or expansion of the existing septic system. So we've analyzed what he has in the ground, and we'd like to sit down with the Board of Health, which we've scheduled. We haven't had the meeting yet, but come up with an infiltrator type of system that gives us a 25% credit in absorption area. So the current system that's in the ground does function as required, but there are recent improvements that we can do to the system with a different type of system within the confines of that same area to give us some more capacity. We've spoken about it with the health department. It was left to, why don't you come on and sit down and talk about it? So I do know that's an open item issue. The other item is, this isn't a county road, so this will require county approval for the entrance. Again, a majority of this parking lot is existing, and the entrance is existing, so we've reached out to Dutchess County Department of Public Works to set up a meeting to meet on site, and I think we have something scheduled toward the end of next week to run through that. And that's basically the proposal.
ADA, with the upstairs, is that going to be accessible, or?
The building department went through and did a pretty comprehensive analysis of things that we have to analyze within our office. We're going to schedule a time to go out there with the applicant and measure up. The improvements that are probably going to have to be made will have to be made, obviously, to meet ADA requirements. So we'll go through that analysis once we go through this process with the board. We're going to try to run these in concert. So we should be starting that in the near future. But we understand the intent and what has to be met to meet code.
And by the way, you're right, it's a great business, so I'm glad it's growing, so thank you.
Brian, as far as the ingress and egress right now of the parking lot itself, you're showing two-way entrances very close to each other and also very close to the Taconic. Have you had any conversation yet with the county, or, because now with the striping that you're proposing and kind of setting up the arrows, I don't know whether that's going to
Again,
work as having two-way entrances right next to each other.
yeah, and the site now has, that area is existing to go in and out that way. So what I suspect is the county will come back with some sort of minor improvement to probably lessen the area that is there, since it is, almost the entire frontage of the parcel is open and accessible to venture onto Carpenter Road. So I could see them coming back and say, could you make that mountable curb? Could you make it green space just to close it? But again, we're working with an entrance that is existing, so I don't foresee them not allowing us two-way accesses since it's there now. They may make us tighten it up, the asphalt, with mountable curbing in a grassed area.
Is there a problem with doing like a one-way, go in one way and come out the other? Is there a problem with that? Or? And I've been to the restaurant multiple times, so I'm familiar with it.
Sir, if we would just have you come up so we can catch your name for our minutes. I'm assuming you are the applicant?
How are you going to speak, Frankie?
Yes.
Hey, brother. It is, oh my God. It is, the parking lot, it is in and out. The traffic is, with the arrow, you come out one way, turn and go the other way out.
Okay.
As right now, unless we're going to change, I don't know.
There was a barn there, right, that's been removed?
An old
right?
garage.
There was like some building there that it's all been
Yeah, an old
open, so
garage. yeah.
it's a lot more open than it used to be.
Yeah, we took the garage down.
Yeah.
Eliminated the garage out of there. That's why it looks so open, I
That's
guess.
where your
But that was
employee
when you
parking
bought
is
it,
now,
right? That was for the previous owner had that garage there, and it always kind of,
Yeah, that garage was
Paid
for
for-
so many years, just like a
Yeah.
yeah.
eliminated. That's why, that's why we created more parking also.
Yeah, and due to the, this is a unique situation where this county road is, it's a low-volume county road. It's right next to the Taconic. You basically can only go north from this if you're exiting from Carpenter onto the Taconic, or if you're coming off to the Taconic, you're coming onto Carpenter Road. So, the level of traffic impact associated with this small expansion is relatively minor. Again, the conversation we can have with the county, but we have a large entrance there now. I don't see them taking away access, but maybe trying to squeeze it.
I'm just seeing the one that's closest to the Taconic, you're going to have cars traveling very fast trying to turn onto Carpenter, right? Make the right onto Carpenter. If you have somebody making a left out of the parking lot into the same lane of traffic, you're kind of tight there if you can keep the left-hand outs on the farther access, it just gives a little bit more space.
Yeah, we could maybe talk about signage with them, we can run through it with them, but again, the level of use on this road, I think is minor.
I'd be more concerned with your concern if there was an exit ramp coming off the Taconic onto Carpenter.
No, people are actually
because-
stopping Taconic traffic to be able to turn onto the road, so they're
Right.
doing it pretty fast.
Right, right.
Having done it for several years myself.
Although in fairness, with the previous owner, there was a lot of parking on Carpenter Road.
Well, yeah.
And that's gone
I
away,
agree.
so
I
thank
agree.
you for that. So,
Baby steps, baby steps.
pardon?
Baby steps, we're making it. Yeah, we'll definitely take the board's concerns into our meeting with the county, and we'll see what they have to say. If
So-
we have to restrict it with signage, that's fine.
Yeah, so I guess just back on the parking spaces themselves, as far as the gravel area, is there a reason you're not paving it now? Do you need the impervious?
For right now, I think it's a simple matter of economics.
Okay.
Let's try to expand the business, and slowly but surely, let's introduce money into the project as it becomes available.
Okay. Okay. Michelle, anything you want to go over with us?
Just that there's only 2 handicap spaces, and there should be 3 because it's over 50. So just have to add another handicap space.
Yep, we'll do that.
Did you consider in the triangular shaped striped area, making that a vertical parking space?
We-
Perpendicular to the other ones? I just think people will park there anyway, that's why I'm asking you the question.
So that, when I was drawing this, I was thinking, are they going to make me put a space there, or do they want it striped? And I obviously guessed the wrong way.
No,
No, because I thought about it, you can fit one in there.
I mean, it's a crowded parking lot, right? So one more space might be valuable, especially if you're expanding the area that you're going to be seating people.
That's where Frank's going to park.
What's that?
That's Frank's special spot.
Oh, okay. Right.
Yeah, I can look at it. We can gain one spot there. You're absolutely correct.
And then the only other thing I was going to comment is, back similar to what Ed said, is if you oriented the spots at an angle, do you gain anything by doing that? Or is it's just not, it doesn't give you any additional space?
It doesn't gain you.
Okay,
I looked at it.
okay. Michelle, anything else on your end? Okay. Scott or Tom, anything?
Brian, did you want to elaborate at all about the overflow parking area?
We looked at that. The overflow parking area that Scott's talking about is what we described about for potential snow storage. If you look beyond, this is the dumpster location, plus or minus, that's not, it could be here, we could move it over to the side here. But this whole area is gravelled back in here. So the thought is if we could have an overflow parking area, it would be here. I may have designated that here on the side, a potential overflow parking area. Again, the surface is gravel. There's enough area here for a couple of cars, even when there is snow piled up. This probably goes back 40 feet, maybe 35 feet in here. So you're probably 35 feet by 24 feet, 25 feet. So there is some additional area if there is an event that parking could be, you could do like a valet style if that's an employee. Like if we knew it was a Christmas
You would stack them
season,
again for a valet, yeah, okay.
Christmas season, we could have employees park there as well.
Okay. Any other questions or comments from board members? Brian, any other questions for us?
No other questions?
Okay. Michelle, I'm assuming we need to schedule this for public hearing. Do we need to circulate too? Is there, or just send it to the county so that we have their comments?
We just need to send it to the county so we have their comments, because it's virtually an existing condition. They're just kind of redoing the parking lot. I mean, I think the only thing that needs to be clarified is right now that the amended site plan currently is really for the parking, but we can't approve the upstairs second floor until we hear from the Board of Health.
So, okay. So we can't do it subject to that? Because we
Well,
usually do
we could,
subject to Board
I'm
of
just
Health
saying, we don't
approval.
want to, we just want to make clear that we're not approving that tonight since we don't have that.
Okay.
But
Well-
that's
So-
not different from what we normally do, right? I mean,
Right, we would normally condition for that.
That, I just don't want him to go and build it without getting the letter from, well, that's what I'm saying.
Right, okay, okay. This, because of the expansion, potential expansion, or because of the way these changes are, do they still fit within the guardrails of a minor modification? Or I'm assuming we would schedule a public hearing because of the county?
Yeah, just schedule a public hearing, yeah.
Okay, okay. Brian, I know we talked about the ADA space. You're still working with the Board of Health, but we can condition for that if you aren't finished with that process when a public hearing process ended. I didn't hear any other substantive comments tonight. There were changes that would be needed for the plan, so I think it would be ready to send to the county. When can you make your circulation? Our next meeting dates are the 16th and the May 21st. 16th of April, sorry, and May 21st.
So we would have to get your circulation materials by,
It's tight, but you have time.
yeah, I mean, I'll shoot for, there's no major modifications here, so we can get you the information.
Right. And if you have to lose a site for the additional ADA spot, you can take the triangle area.
It's Frank's spot.
It still counts as a spot, I'm just saying.
Okay.
All right, so do I have a motion to, excuse me, sorry. Do I have a motion to schedule the Villa Negrelli amended site plan for public hearing on April 16th?
So moved.
I
second?
have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion approved. Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Okay, the next item on our agenda is a sketch plan review for farm, excuse me, sorry, let me just shuffle papers here before I say the wrong.
Farm stores.
For farm stores. Farm stores, East Fishkill. Great.
Not as adept with the computers in.
That's quite all right. That's, he set the bar high, I do admit that, yes.
I had somebody make me a disc, and it's on my kitchen counter.
Okay,
So I apologize for that. but
Okay.
If I can get an email, I can bring it up. Is that possible? No? Ah, okay.
okay,
Everybody has a
Just-
sketch?
okay. Do you have it on, you have a laptop there? Does our connection work with your laptop? Because you
Can
can
it?
switch the wire if you
Sure,
want
that would
to.
imagine.
If I can.
You know, it's not as exact, but, you know, there's like, since this is a chain, there's a lot of good pictures out on like
There are?
Google or something.
Yes.
That might work just as well, just to show a picture of what this,
Right. The only thing is
But
I
if
have,
the, if the
I have
wire
the site.
fits on his laptop, I don't care if he switches the wire over.
Yeah.
Right, then he can just show us his
Yeah.
plan.
If we
Should be able
can.
just to plug the USB
sure.
in
It's
there,
fine.
it'd be fine.
Well, it's not, yeah, no, it's not a USB. It's the thicker one.
This might not be compatible here.
Oops.
Oh, that's Mac, yeah.
Any luck, Michelle? No? Okay.
Yeah.
yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Could I bring up my email here?
It's, I don't believe it's connected to the
No, it's
internet,
not-
so,
it's not Wi-Fi.
yeah,
Okay, okay. What do I do?
okay.
Apologize.
Pam, do we have the copy of the plan or something that we can just circulate? It's a sketch plan review, so it doesn't, we don't need the big version.
Oh, he's got all that.
That's fine, that's fine, we can work with that.
And just pass around?
Sure.
This is the most current.
Thank you.
So, my name is Richard Barone, and I'm the area representative for farm stores here in the Hudson Valley. I'm in charge of 10 counties up and down the east and west of the Hudson River. So my job is to locate properties around those counties and bring them to the boards in the various jurisdictions and try to get approvals. And then this is a franchise store, and we will be selling those to franchisees. So we've proposed here on Route 376, a store between the Campanaro Law Office and Taconic, the new building on 376 across from the Stewarts, just down the road. It is a one-story, 720-square-foot building, recycled storage containers that we are mindful of the green aspect, so that is one part of it, that we maintain that container. We also propose on the property a lot of green space in order to maintain that farm store appeal. This is a retail double drive-through grocery, prepared foods, and hot items that is, nobody goes into the store, no customers come into the store. It's strictly, bless you, drive-through on both sides of the building so that you can queue up on both sides. We proposed a lot, that lot and the way it's configured would bring us to two one-way entrances, one in, one out, with a width for 2 cars so that one can queue up and the other can have an escape around on both sides. We propose 3 parking spaces, a dumpster area. I knew that was a concern in one of the correspondence, so that would be easy for a truck to just pull straight forward, take the load, back up, and swing out around in the one-way direction.
The parking spaces would be for employees?
Yes,
Or
yes.
so people don't get out of their cars?
No
at this
people
site?
get out of the cars. It's strictly hospitality, delivery right to the person's car, trunk, what have you.
Okay.
We take orders right on the spot. There's about a queue time of about 3 to 4 minutes. And we also take app orders, mobile application orders, so that we'll have, immediate service for those items ready for when the people get there. So it's a new concept in this area, but certainly it's been around in Florida since the 50s. It's worked well. The same concept has worked well for many years in Long Island, known as barn stores. They have simple milk and egg products. This is going to be a little more extended menu. But nothing is actually cooked on the premises. There's no Ansel system or anything like that. It's strictly high-speed ovens that are approved for this method of preparing food, hot soups and baguette bread and the like, empanadas, different products. And we'll have your typical grocery items. We like to think of it as the express lane in a grocery store, so that you don't have to go to that big box store or CVS. We kind of position them in various towns where they're next to neighborhoods, so that you're really getting to the farm store before you get out of your, right after you get out of your neighborhood or right before you go back into your neighborhood. So that strategy is going to hopefully serve us well in the fact that, we will be competitive in pricing for national brand products, our own products branded, and, we want to look forward to investing here in East Fishkill with not one, maybe a couple, because there's a lot of room in this town.
Do you work with local growers, too? You said
will
it's
be.
national branded.
We will be. Farm Stores mandates that we have 80% of their products, and each individual franchisee can have a discretion of 20% of their own local products. So we will be doing that for sure. And as area representative, we will be making sure that they maintain those standards. So that will be part of my job.
How many times a day do you roll the entire inventory? I mean, and what's the truck traffic
Yeah,
like?
for delivery
Delivery
trucks.
Yes.
Because it's new here, we don't know, we're going off of our model in Florida and what we have and located in Long Island. You're probably talking about 2 days a week on a grocery delivery. Traffic as far as cars, we still don't know yet. We're certainly going to get a lot of traffic that moves on that road, which is actually pretty heavy. And, we're counting on repeat customers, residents in particular, coming to and from their home. Yes.
How many employees?
To operate the store, all you need is 2. So, at a max time of heavy volume, which is, yet to be determined, 3. So typically a manager will be there and 2 employees. But
And when the delivery truck comes in,
yes,
it just gets in queue, it doesn't have, there's no escape lane, it
there is.
basically has to go.
You can come in on your escape plan. I apologize, it's not up there. What they would do is pull up in front of the parking spaces that we've outlined. They can park their truck there for the 10 minutes that it takes to unload and come right back out the one way on the other side. So they do have room to sit by in front of the existing parking spaces that we've proposed, the proposed parking spaces.
So I'm a little bit confused by the 2-sided drive-through.
Yes.
So how, how do customers know which side they're supposed to go to?
Right, you can go
That's
to
some-
either side and be served. So if customers are seeing that as they're coming into the one-way on the right-hand side of the building, they see there's 1 or 2 cars queued up, they're going to know that they can go around those cars and come to the other side to queue up in the opposite lane on the other side of the building. There'll be signage for that, since it's all one-way.
Okay.
It's gonna take a little bit of changing some habits of people and, you know, having them understand that this is a double drive-through, not where you go to a little machine and order, you actually go right to the doorway, order right there, or have it ready for you because you ordered on your app, and you leave right from that exact spot out of the property, so you don't have to go to another window. You just go to one, it's actually a doorway, it's not even a window.
So you're, oh, sorry, go ahead, Mike.
Did I see in the materials that there's a heated driveway?
And that's what we want to propose here on this property.
For what?
Well, because
By-
of that convenience, and to have that mom know that she can come here, as long as those main roads are plowed, we're going to be available for her from 6 to 11 every day, and those driveways will be clear.
That was going to be my next question. So 6 a.m. to 11
Yes.
p.m., is that 7 days?
Yes, operating hours, yes.
Given that time frame, do you need more parking spaces for employees? Because you said at peak you'd have 3, you got 3 parking spaces. What happens when the next person comes in for their shift? You got 3 spots.
That's a good point. Good point. We could propose, I think, 1 more in there, in that shaded area.
And then, I know you said you usually only queue up 1 or 2 cars on each side. The way I'm looking at this now, for the ingress, you're queuing the cars up back towards the road, and you're showing 3 vehicles, but
Just as a maximum, if they had to, we could fit 1, 2, 3, 4, in fact. 1 is under the
1
canopy.
at the door and 3
Right,
queued, right?
correct. If, you know, and then those persons, if they see that, they would come around and go in the escape lane and go to the other side.
So maybe consider a sign that says, do not queue
Certainly.
past this point, go to the other, drive around to
Certainly.
the other drive-through or something like that.
Good point?
And I would consider, and I don't know how much space you have to do it, but I would consider moving the building back just even like 10 feet, so that if you do get the 3rd car queued there, there's no chance that they're blocking
Hanging
somebody's
out
site distance or
road.
right-of-way.
Okay,
As people, if somebody parks 6 feet from the car in front of them, and
agreed.
I just don't want anybody hanging out into that's a main road there.
It is.
I'm wondering what the fire advisory board would have to say.
Right.
Fire advisory board? They would have to say.
The only thing that they mentioned to me was, well, of course, we got to go to New York DOT because it's state road, but they did mention to me, if you look on that back part of the property where it
Yeah, I
says
see the emergency.
Grass Creek, they wanted us to maintain something like that. We certainly don't want our customers going through there. That's strictly emergency. That's requested by the owner, who's actually here also, Patricia. And so we wouldn't make that any kind of access except for emergency. If it needs to be gated or whatever we have to do, we'll make sure.
But these look like they're old railroad cars. I mean, are they flammable material?
No, they're actually storage containers.
Containers.
Yeah, they're metal.
Yeah, the ones that you see on
I was going to
ships.
say, I would bet the fire potential is fairly low.
Yeah, it is.
Like a farm.
Well,
Yeah.
cooking in there.
Although,
It's you, Mike, me tonight, I don't know.
Well done, Lauren.
although they are retrofit,
Moving over.
they are retrofit with coolers and freezers already in the building, and they're dropped right on the pad. So
Is
that's
there
how
a
they come.
restroom for the
There
employees?
is a restroom and there's a wash sink, yes.
What does the exterior of the building look like?
It is it'll look similar to a barn with barn doors on either side that roll. It's a red building. It'll probably have a cow someplace around the building, and it's red and white. It's 2 containers put together side by side, so it becomes an 18 by 40.
And so the only opening are the doors that slide?
2 side doors and 1 back door where the refrigerator freezer comes in, and 1 other back door per se for the main area to come out.
Got it. No windows for beyond that?
No, because when you roll the doors open, there's a window display area that shows product.
The customers don't enter the building at all?
Never.
Okay.
No, never do.
Do you do outbound, like, home delivery? Or do you
Yes.
have to come to the location to
No,
pick up?
we will be working with Grubhub and the various delivery services. So actually, Farm Store is already in agreement with Grubhub, and we're going to institute that here also.
Okay.
I think one other thing to consider, if you're looking at the parking, if you don't need to move the building back, as was suggested,
Yes.
you have the potential to maybe double stack the employee parking like
That's
other
true.
applicants have done.
But
So
we'll-
I don't know if there's enough room to double it, but
There is,
it's
actually.
again, something to look at as an option before you finalize the
You
plan.
could possibly do that, and then you'd actually have another space for the delivery truck as well, if you needed to.
And these will be, these will not be tractor trailers. For this particular site especially, we can only fit a box truck, and that's what it would be. Cisco is our main supplier nationally, and then we'll have the locals that bring their own deliveries.
Just
We
another
would
option to
typically, on a
maximize.
site like this, restrict the size of truck that could enter
For
the site
sure.
as well.
I would agree. I would agree. I guess I just want to address one thing about the water, because we got the letter from the town engineer, Peter Sotero. Is that you, Peter?
He's our consultant engineer, yeah.
Okay, okay.
He's not here this evening.
Okay, and so they brought out an issue about the fact that it doesn't have water or sewer on the property, but it's my understanding, and through the owner, that there is a valve on the property. It's in the Fishkill Plains District, from what I understand, and it's just not clear yet whether we can tap into that valve. At least I haven't gotten determination from the engineering.
I can answer that. You're
Okay.
probably at least a year out.
Okay, to tap into that valve?
Yes, right now, where there's no capacity.
There's no capacity in that valve.
There's people waiting in line right now.
Really? Really? So what do we do in that regard? Is there a way to then propose a well, or?
That's between you and the health department.
Yeah,
to
and
look
that's
at.
what we're working on, the health department, because we weren't clear on whether that water valve was, accessible. If you want to add anything, I don't, Patricia is the owner, and she was understanding that there was capacity to do
That
that.
was my understanding. I'm Patricia Campanero, and I'm the owner of the property. When the water line was extended to our neighbors, oh my goodness, what is it?
The
Taconic.
Taconic something.
Innovations.
One of the conditions was that there was going to be a valve which would allow water to be accessed on that property, and they did install a valve.
Yes, but currently, the health department has it limited on how much water we can supply, and right now, we're maxed out. We have application in right now, actually, for an extension for Revere Park and Worley Homes. We're still waiting on that, and they've been in the queue. So you're kind of a newcomer, so you got to find your way in that queue. There's other businesses that are, like Taconic Innovations, they're waiting for water right next to
Well,
you.
they still don't have it?
They just have it for fire protection.
Right.
Now, we can give you fire protection, that's fine, but we can't give you potable water at this time.
Yeah, I didn't know that Taconic Innovations didn't have it. That was the
Just-
reason for
just-
them getting the easement
Just for
the
fire
property.
protection,
Yeah.
just for
For the
fire
fire.
protection.
That's what I understood also, for the fire.
As I recall, there's, the land today is currently owned by the law firm that's next door. Is there
Yes.
any ongoing relationship there wherein some kind of temporary easement would be possible
A temporary easement for what?
For,
for water and/or truck parking in the near term or that kind of
No,
thing?
it's not the piping isn't the problem, it's the
The piping's
capacity
there.
of the system.
capacity of the
Yeah,
water.
easement has
Served in the
nothing to
same
do with
system.
it.
There is a tap, and they're absolutely right, they can tap to it, but the health department has said right now, we don't have sufficient capacity to take on the people.
I'm sorry, I was
But we're working towards that.
talking about going back to the truck parking and circulation. Is that, because I've noticed there's almost never cars in that lot next door.
Yeah.
Is that,
Well, I think we want to stay away from having access to her
Yeah.
property.
so there's no ongoing relationship there?
No, I'm not going to have any ownership interest.
Okay.
No.
They'll be buying the property if they get the approvals.
Okay,
And
But
the
there
law
could be an
firm,
easement
obviously, we
arrangement, to your
have,
point.
yeah.
we have parking in there during business hours and what have you. Very rarely, well, I'm there sometimes late at night, but very rarely will they be there at
Yeah.
11 o'clock at night. But we're there usually like the 9 to 5.
The DOH, Department of Health, makes that determination on whether we can tap into that?
No, they'll discuss your well with you, separation
Okay.
to your septic.
Okay, okay. Because I think that's really going to be the only alternative right now. But,
I mean, there's a plan to bring more water, but it's about a year out.
yeah, okay.
Pipes have to be constructed, designed, all that, so that's about a year out.
That's what I'm getting. So does it make sense then to have something designed, once we know where the adjacent wells and septics are, is it the determination of the health department to say where our well goes and where our septic goes? That's correct,
Yeah.
right? Okay. So we'll have to have that kind of design presented here
To the health department.
to the health department, and then they'll do the recommendation here.
Bring the results back.
I got you. All right. I'm understanding.
There was a point well there. It wasn't a drilled well, it was a point well.
Oh, okay.
And,
We're having a hard time catching, if you can
oh, I'm
just...
sorry, I said there used to be a point well there. When they put the water out that way, my building is in the water system. And then when Taconic Innovations was moving in, they needed an easement, because at that time, the water district was expanding the line. We were kind of like a little dogleg on the end of it. And
I think
since
there's like
they-
a 2-inch line feeding you, and now there's an 8-inch line, a fire
Yes.
hydrant, and all that stuff.
And,
so.
and I no longer get Merlot-colored water, which is nice, you know, because it used to be when they flushed out the system, it all came into my building.
I think what you're going to be facing is potentially going to be a public water system, because of the number of people that you're serving, washing, I don't know what your business model is, but you
Yeah.
may find yourself having to do treatment, extensive treatment, which would expand the footprint of this building considerably, if that's what the health department makes you do.
Yeah.
But that'll be a discussion you
Right,
would have with the
them.
health department.
And we're ongoing with them, so we're working on that part of it.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
So with a sketch plan review, do you have any other questions for us?
I just understand we have to go to New York DOT, right, for the curb
Right.
cutouts, so we'll be doing that. And then what kind of determination comes out of here is, I guess, what I'd be waiting for, right?
Well, you would normally move into a full-blown application with us. So right now, you're on for sketch plan review, which is just a preliminary kind of discussion with the board to gain initial feedback on what you're looking to do. When you're ready, you come back, do a full-blown application with us. We bring you back in for discussion and then public hearing, et cetera.
Okay. I would assume I would have to have these issues with the water resolved, right? It doesn't make sense to move forward otherwise.
Well, I think it would certainly be at your risk if you were to move forward without that, because you certainly can't open
Fair
without it.
enough. Good. Okay.
Okay.
Sounds good. Okay.
Thank you very much.
I had a
Thank
couple,
you.
just a couple,
Oh,
sorry.
I'm sorry, Michelle,
No, no,
I'm
no
sorry.
worries. I just wanted to iterate that the structure would require architectural review board approval.
Absolutely.
And I didn't know if there's any proposed signage or lighting, but if you do come back for a formal application, you should show that.
Okay.
And then also you should address the access for emergency services. Okay, so, make sure that we could get emergency service vehicles onto the site and around the site.
Check the radius around
okay?
this building and get
Okay.
a fire truck through there.
And also garbage collection. I don't know how the garbage
Yes.
collection works. Okay.
Yes. We probably drive straight up to the container with the front loader, and then be able to back up a little bit and go out the other way.
And you should show, I don't know if you have a refuse container that you would
Yes.
put on site. You just show that location when you do the formal plan.
And that's in that letter that you sent me, those points you
Yes.
just made. Okay. I'll address those. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Okay. Thank you. We'll be back.
Great.
Okay.
All right, the next item on our agenda, is another sketch plan review. This is Menlo Pond, or McCann.
Good evening, I'm Maggie McCann, homeowner, property owner with my husband, who is not here tonight.
Do we have your plan? We'll have, you can sit right at the,
I don't have computerized, I just have these, is that good? And
okay, that's
I
fine.
misunderstood, I thought maybe everybody would have the copies I had made? No.
What we usually, it's fine, you're just.
They were distributed.
You're just on for sketch
We've
plan
all
review?
seen them, so-
Okay, cool. Once you come back with your full application, we'll make sure you give us a digital copy, because then we'll be able to put it up on screen so that folks can see it.
Okay.
more well. You're fine for a sketch plan
Yeah.
review, yeah.
I guess not really.
I'm going to say, if you don't mind, just pull that chair away for us. Thank you. Perfect.
Okay, so I'm not sure how to proceed.
Well,
but-
the best thing to do is give us an overview of
Okay.
where your property is, and then tell us a little bit about what you'd like to do with it, and then you can kind of walk us through the different colors and things that you've highlighted.
Okay, so off of 52, you come up Hosner Mountain, and this is our home right here on Hosner Mountain. And here's the turn that used to go right onto the Taconic.
Okay.
Goes up to the new bridge.
So the house, the garage, and then the driveway comes all the way down to here, the barn. So the proposed area is this outlined in the dotted here, with
Okay.
main events here,
Okay.
okay?
Okay, and where would cars be parking?
In this blue
In the blue?
striped area.
Okay. And tell us a little bit about the types of events and what you're planning. We have your application, but just tell us a
Okay.
little bit about it.
So like music events, weddings, parties.
What are you seeing as your maximum capacity for the site?
We have had 300 on the family parties, so, and it was
Okay.
very comfortable, felt
Okay.
good. Everybody parked,
Okay.
Maggie, there was a notation about there's only going to be 12 events. What was the logic behind that? Why just
well,
12?
we
or-
looked at like the season, because
Okay,
seasonal. And we live there, my husband and I. So we discussed what we thought was reasonable,
okay.
and we came up with that number.
I also noticed that the house is a historic house. At the risk of, what happened there? Or is it just because of the age of the house that it's historic?
I think because the age, I had Michelle look that up, right?
Yeah, it's just,
1880 is
Okay.
when the house was
it was
built.
identified on the East Fishkill Historic Structure Registry, but it's also a National Register State Historic Site as well, correct?
I don't know that. I only know what you told me, yeah. So,
Yeah.
So I was just curious whether it was age or something happened there. Not a
Age.
particularly important question, but okay. Thank you.
So my understanding is because of that, there's a permit for it.
So,
or is-
yeah, because it is on the historic structures inventory that East Fishkill did, they are technically eligible for the historic structure special permit, which I think you guys will remember or recall the house on Beekman Road that also potentially wanted to do weddings. They are also allowed to apply for that based on that special permit.
So are both structures on the registry, or just the house, or just the barn?
My understanding of it, well, in our East Fishkill registry, it includes the entire property.
Entire property?
Yeah.
Okay.
What kind of improvements are you looking at doing to the barn and to the areas outside?
Only
Anything?
those necessary.
So no special sports courts or anything of that nature?
We actually have one.
Okay,
This is a basketball court here that we put in years ago.
gotcha.
Is there going to be any pond activities at these parties, or will you be utilizing the pond at all, or no?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
The pond is swimmable.
I know I always see the
Very
trampoline out
clean.
there.
The pond is, got fish in it, so fishing.
I just didn't know if there's any
It is
restrictions
a
to
beautiful
the
spot.
pond.
It's a beautiful spot. We love it.
Any concerns with the neighbors below the blue line there?
This shows a little bit more like the proximity of the neighbors, so let me put it in.
Have you talked about it with them, and are they?
Have I talked to them? No.
Okay.
Guess they need to be invited to the party.
I've had lots of parties. No. There was one person who did complain, but he no longer lives there. So we moved in 01, and all these years, never had a problem.
Well, I'm just wondering after.
complained about
If they start
noise.
seeing, 12 events with 300 people.
Right, yeah,
Every
I
weekend,
understand.
you might start getting some more complaints, so.
So there'd be no food prep on site, it would be just warming and that kind of thing, or would you try to put in
So like
a
cater.
commercial kitchen in the barn?
No,
Okay.
so catered parties.
And would the patrons go in the pond for the,
Yes, the lower barn has, you know, a lot of open space. We have had, you know, parties where people go in there.
right?
Yeah.
Only because there's requirements under the state building code, fire code, for occupancy, so that's something you should check out.
Well, I did get a thing from the fire advisory, and one thing they suggested was dry hydrants, which I'm assuming is for, in case of fire.
Right, but also, in addition to their overviews, New York State has a fire code, and for this type of use, you have to see what's required in it. It's a temporary place of public assembly, and you would have to see, based on what they require, does the bond provide that? Because the one problem we have with the other structure on Beekman Road that came in for this, they want to do the activities in the barn, and I think they were presented with too many problems under the fire code to be able to come back.
Can you
but this-
suggest where I find that out? Particular person, or?
Well, I mean, the fire inspector can give you some general guidance on
Okay.
it, but
And I'm not disagreeing, Tom, but I thought that was also too because of the multiple floors in that
well, it
barn.
was, but it was,
And this is a single-floor barn, right?
No, actually, there's an upper part and a lower. The
Okay.
upper is all storage.
I think the multiple floors of the other structure had handicap accessibility issues.
Right.
But
Right.
overall, it was the siding, you know, if you have people in there and their fire breaks out, and you have dried lumber from,
Right.
so there are those kinds of rules that you have to see what the fire code provides.
They were gonna have to sprinkle that barn, and I think that was
That would be the reason for this dry
yeah,
hydrant, we'd be
correct.
able to put sprinklers in.
Correct.
Okay, so I'll definitely look into that. So the neighbor question. So this is the parking area here and the property line, and these are the neighbors on Brigham Lane.
Trying to remember.
Yep.
There's no fence?
There is no fence.
Okay, so it's, okay. So it's pretty much a shared area now, right? Meaning
Yeah, I
It's a-
mean.
it looks like an open green
open
space.
green
Space, right.
Definitely. I mean, this one area right here, this neighbor put these trees in.
And there's a grade change. So in the photographs that she provided with the application, you can see that there's a
Yeah.
decent grade change.
Yeah, they're
So
up higher.
they're up higher and her property sits lower. So in some of the photographs, she's actually showing you the view from her property looking at the backyards of the houses.
Do you want to see those?
So
Yeah,
in
if you
terms of
have
the
those,
risk of
that'd be
having
great.
cars
That's helpful.
parking on a neighbor's property, you don't think that would happen because of the grade change? Because I'm not clear how you would
I would
delineate
think you'd have to
that.
delineate it.
I think you'd have to have controlled
delineate it.
parking,
I
right?
think,
Well, I
when-
mean, you could put it by traffic cones versus planting. I'm just trying to figure out what the best.
this one I would recommend a site visit to, because I think we would need to see it to sort of understand what was needed. But one of the thoughts that I had, and I haven't seen it yet, is that you might require some buffering, especially in the buffering, especially in the parking
Yeah.
area, like some landscaping. I think we talked about that the first time you came.
Right, so I was thinking that would have to be either a big ugly fence or maybe trees.
I think maybe like the neighbor has done along the line of his property, similar to that might be
Yeah.
the best thing to do, but we'd have to look at it.
Yeah, I would prefer that because that's a lot of trees. That's a huge amount of trees. So definitely would want you to come and,
So I see that it's a cul-de-sac right here. If you go Mountain Road and you go to the right, is that a cul-de-sac?
No,
It's a
Goes
full,
over the
it's a,
bridge over
yeah, that goes across
if
the
you keep going this way,
it
yes.
goes up the mountain.
there is an overpass that goes on the other side of the Taconic, and then going down, there's a cul-de-sac, yeah.
So that's,
And then also there's a new neighborhood, I don't know the name of that street,
so it goes to more residential?
a whole
Yeah,
street
across
with a
the Taconic.
cul-de-sac. One street
Taconic
cul-de-sac
all
that
along
goes up
Okay.
and over, yeah. It's from, I don't know if you can see it in any of these, if you were standing here on my porch and look beyond, oh, this kind of show. No, see, right about here, there's a house. there's like 3 houses, so say the street comes off
Further down, she's even.
here, and it comes up and around. I could tell because this is interesting, this man mows this so his kids can ATV there, so that's what that is. So his house is like right here, and then there's either 3 or 4 houses on this road on this side,
Okay,
and then the same on the other, and then the street goes up and around into a cul-de-sac.
okay.
The proposed uses were not just limited to social gatherings. I see there was like photo shoots and that kind of thing. So there's a lot of, you're also thinking about, if you will, low-impact events
Yeah.
as well.
Definitely, yeah.
Okay.
I've had a couple of people approach me, that's why I put that in there, to do small films on the property, photo shoots. I've actually had a good friend come and do photo shoots there. So,
It's a great spot.
it's a beautiful area, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
I agree.
Michelle, other than the potential screening, figuring out the fire code for the barn itself, and any other, I'll call it site-related things, do we want to talk a little bit about the special permit itself and kind of walk through what the requirements are?
Sure. I mean, the special permit doesn't specifically state everything that's allowed, so this is not necessarily a stated allowed use in the special permit, but it gives you some discretion, as long as you think that what is proposed is in keeping with the intent of the special permit, which is virtually to preserve a historic property and allow you to do uses there that won't alter the structures themselves, so they stay historic looking. And so I have a couple of thoughts. One is that based on the special permit, the planning board could determine if they felt comfortable with a number, like she's proposing 12 events. Is that the appropriate number of events? Maybe you could even say, or limit it to a certain number of events that have a certain capacity. So in other words, like, just making this up, 5 events of 300 people, that's it, per season, or whatever it is. You could also have, because the site is large and there are opportunities to buffer some of the activities from neighboring properties based on where you put them on your site, because there's a barn and other structures, you could, for instance, if there was a band playing, you could make sure that the band was playing on this side of the structure, so the barn actually prevents the noise from carrying. So there's certain things like that that I think we should absolutely look at if we're going to entertain a special permit for these uses. That's why I'm sort of suggesting that we do a site visit out there.
Okay.
And then I did speak with Maggie when she initially came in, because we had the experience of working with the other person that had wanted to do the similar thing, and I had explained to her that they had run up against a couple issues with their barn and those kinds of things. So obviously, I could provide her with some of the minutes from those meetings, so you can hear about all the different issues that came up as well, and just make sure that you, because they actually went pretty far. They called the health department and all that kind of stuff, so you could get some information from their application about what may be asked of you.
Okay.
But yeah, the special permit's relatively open, and there's a lot of discretion.
Okay. Do you intend to use tents, or would everybody use the barn for the event?
No, I think there would be tents too.
There would be tents, too.
Yeah. For the wedding that we had, family wedding, we had the whole court tented, and that's where everybody ate and the band was. And then the lower barn was just like extra gathering. People went in and out, we had some games going on and stuff like that, so.
Okay. Okay.
It's
So
definitely
typically the
not like a
court-
place to really eat or seat 300 people, so it would definitely include.
The barn, you mean?
The barn, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, definitely include tents.
So I think probably, Michelle, getting back to like location of where, especially if it's a music event or something like that, or you have a band playing, knowing where the tents would be and making sure
Yeah, I've marked with these little purple here, that's not on the original one, because Michelle had mentioned this to me. Like, music would be here, because the barn buffer, because the house is over here, or on the court, because this is all buffered with, actually, it's right here, with all the trees that one neighbor put in. It's pretty buffered. We have, well, actually, the only band we've ever had there was inside a tent, right there.
Okay.
So that was a buffer too, I guess, yeah.
So when you got the generator or some sort of electric source then, if you got bands playing out there?
We did for this wedding, my nephew got married here. We had all the electricity upgraded, yeah. So we wouldn't have any outages, and we didn't. And played on.
Okay. I think you have a little bit of homework to do. You're in with us tonight as a sketch plan review. The point where you're ready to come back as a full application, then we'll take you through the rest of the process. But basically what you'll do is you'll come back for the special permit and for the site plan. I'm not sure, it's not really a site plan because tents are temporary, but just similar to the plan you have right now, just confirm for us exactly what you're planning for events at different sizes and things like that.
Where did you see the site visit fitting into that process?
I think once we're ready to come back with the application.
The next summer party.
All right, I'm not 100% sure of all my homework. Can you just help me out with that? Or should I talk to you later, or?
Sure.
Yeah.
You need to figure out anything you need to do with the barn, so you need.
So, and
Fire
fire
code.
department.
For the fire.
And also, do I need to talk to the health department regarding that?
We would have
Well,
to talk to the health department about the temporary septic or water
Right,
jump.
facilities.
Because they have a permit requirement, I'm trying to remember the exact threshold, but for public group gatherings, I think it's over 100 or something
I
like
was
that.
gonna say, I
They
think
have a
300 meets
requirement
whatever
just-
their requirement is,
Right,
so.
so whatever their requirement is to make sure that complies.
And is that James Teed? Because I did send everything to him, but I have not heard back from him.
Yeah, he would be the one.
Okay, so I'll just reconnect with him.
Right. And then you're also going to look at for us, I would suggest maybe a layout that shows us how cars would be parked, and if you're having events of different sizes or events that are more focused on the pond versus the tents or something like that, just so that we understand a little bit more for the different events you're expecting.
And is there somewhere I can find out like requirements regarding the pond? Because I'm feeling like there probably is. Or is
I mean,
there?
I would assume you would need insurance, but that wouldn't really be the purview of the
We
planning
definitely have
board.
insurance.
That wouldn't be our
definitely have
purview, but I would
insurance for
assume
that.
you would want and need that.
Yeah, I was thinking more along the lines
Well,
of,
if you're going to have an event where you're inviting people to come to swim in a pond and it's beyond private, the health department regulates that also.
health department. Okay, cool.
Because
Thank you.
they'll have regulations, whether you need lifeguards, things like
Right,
that.
that's what I was thinking, lifeguards,
Okay.
what I was going to say.
Thank you,
yeah.
Tom, I didn't know.
Okay.
You might want to talk to your neighbors too.
Talk to the neighbors.
Yeah, I would. Just feel.
I never thought of that, but it's a great idea.
Well, because otherwise you'll have 20 of them here showing up the night of the public hearing, all denouncing the project if
Gotcha.
you don't
Thank
talk to
you.
them
You don't want
ahead
them
of
to hear
time.
it the first time
All right,
when it
cool.
comes to public hearing, so.
When we hold a public hearing, there's a notice requirement. Anybody within 500 feet of your property will need to receive a personal notification by mail, certified mail, of the public hearing. And then you'll also have signs that you'll need to post around your property along the road so that anybody else from the neighborhood that wants to come to the public hearing and hear about what's happening will have the ability to do that.
Gotcha, okay, so great idea. Can I ask questions?
Sure,
Okay,
absolutely.
so I have a question about these dry hydrants from, and maybe I should just talk to them. Is that something that the fire department determines where they go? Because I kind of read that online, where they go and actually,
I would definitely,
Installs
yeah,
them?
I would definitely talk to them about that. That we have a
Okay.
fire advisory board that you could request to come to one of their meetings. They have monthly meetings.
oh,
You
okay,
can request to be on one of their monthly meetings.
Surprised you don't have a fire hydrant.
okay.
I couldn't hear you,
I'm
Jason.
surprised you don't have a dry hydrant there now. That's a perfect pond.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm thinking, right? That's, rather than having to pressurize the system.
Let's see. The other suggestions they gave were the Knox box, which I have a brother-in-law who's a fire, and he convinced me that was a great idea, so I'll do that. And then trash disposal.
Right.
Yeah, so we'll figure that out and where, and probably go for the fire-resistant kind of enclosure.
Okay.
All right?
What you would do, that's something else you would locate on the site for us so we can see where it's going to be located. So anything like that that you're going to change about your site as you prepare for these events, you should put on the plan for us to see and in case we have questions about it or concerns.
Okay, cool.
Right?
I think that's all.
Thank you.
Okay.
Good luck.
Okay, thanks. So Michelle, I guess I'll talk to you. All right.
I'll be in tomorrow and Friday.
Do we have students in the audience tonight?
All right, won't be able to.
You've been here for an hour and 15 minutes now. If you have anything you need us to sign, you're welcome to come on up. We'll let you go. We've got one or two more items on our agenda tonight. You're also welcome to stay.
Yeah.
But we appreciate you joining us.
But there won't be refreshments served. We're tipping you off.
Yeah, they don't get to stay for the
There's
after
no
party.
benefit. This is as good as it gets.
Great. Thank you very much for coming. Any of us can sign. Are we today? 19?
19, yes.
Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you. Going out of here. I don't know.
Judging by the exodus, we're last.
Thank you. Too. All right. The next item on our agenda is a special permit for, is it 2A?
Toy.
Toy, sorry. For Toy.
So
This
I'm
is a solar, ground-mounted solar panels.
correct. I'm
Okay.
a relatively new resident, and I'm just about making a year in Lomela. And had I known that we'd have the projector, I would have saved you for my geometry project. And
We have it on our CD.
Oh, you do?
You are more than welcome to share with us. Yes, thank you.
She's the expert's prepared.
But you have to keep talking while you load it. and, yeah.
The bar is high.
So any of you that have been through that backstretch of Lomela, you know it's actually the really pretty area of the neighborhood. So what I was trying to do with the placement of this is really maintain the vistas for all the properties. And so I'm not sure actually if the setback changed, but 100 feet would be kind of a non-starter for this project for me. But 36, you know, I thought that it was a 35 setback. In any case, that kind of tucks this away where it's able to maximize the solar with minimizing the visual.
Thank you.
So that's what I tried to show in what I had sent with this open
And I
polygon.
apologize, I'm sorry, are you the homeowner?
I'm
or
the
are you-
owner, yes.
I'm the sole with the solar company.
Okay,
So
thank you very much.
all the hard questions go to her.
Okay.
I'll just try to walk you through what I
Hopefully
did.
answer.
So, But basically, the only place that this would be visible is if you had a straight shot from the Vasquez sight line and that shelter belt that you can kind of see once the property or the satellite goes up. I plan to extend that anyway. So it would
Extend what?
extend kind of the planting shelter belt that runs on the south side or southwest side of the garage. That would be the lower end of the lot line, so that would actually also close off any of the view that would be possible. Moving it 100 feet in would make it actually much closer to his house.
Double click.
And it looks like his
Yeah,
house has
double-click
solar
on-
panels on the
Yeah.
roof, right?
Yeah.
He has it on the roof.
Oh,
And your house,
There we go.
they wouldn't work on the roof, or?
No, the orientation of the roof, it's hard to tell from the aerial, but there's both too much shading from the trees, so I'd have to cut down trees, which I don't want to do because they're very mature, large growth, old growth trees. And also the orientation of the roof, the southern facing pitches are pretty minimal.
There, on a couple of the drawings, the panels had different orientation. Which way
Yeah, I
do
want to
they
address
face?
that, because I noticed, we got the survey after he already did the initial engineering. So, he should have done this south facing. It shouldn't be straight like that. So it should be shifted. If you look, the north is this way.
Okay,
And actually,
so,
of course, I brought up the wrong one.
Yeah, if you just show us the map, and you can maybe just orient us on the map.
There we go.
I'll admit that I did see the diagram that you sent us with the triangle on it, and I didn't really understand the triangle part.
Yeah. I
So-
was, yeah, I didn't know that we'd have the projection ability, so I was trying to just show a sight line from the Vasquez house,
Okay.
to show
But that was only from the house, not like if they were in their backyard or if they were somewhere else in it, right? You were just, it just looked like it was a point and almost like a,
Yeah, so I mean, that basically is their sight line onto the property, is kind of this narrow stretch of the backyard. And if we have this up, I can try to talk you through it.
Oh, I have it, I just can't zoom it very well.
It's a common mistake.
So, well, I mean, in the polygon.
Right side, is that right?
Well, based on area, it's area
It's
specific.
It's going this direction on the right side. That actually comes very close to the Vasquez house, so they're really only have this small stretch of the backyard that they can see into the backyard. And in any case, you know, moving off of the northern or northeastern lot line would actually bring that closer to the house and in view of both homes.
Oh, whatever, I can't get it to zoom in.
Cursor down at the bottom.
Is that the, maybe it's the Zoom that's up by the,
No, put it down at the bottom of the screen, it'll pop up.
There you go, and the
All
plus
right.
sign.
there we go.
Sorry, I'm now a Mac, so I feel like, okay. So the way this is orientated
Steve was
is
of no
correct,
value.
it just would be shifted down.
Pam, is there a light we can turn off? Or it's hard to see the, perfect, thank you.
So this is where he has it. Honestly, it should be shifted a little bit further than that, but this is the way it should be orientated. He doesn't have it orientated correct here, he just kind of put it on there.
So
So
what-
I need to get the engineer to adjust the survey, so it's
And
properly
and what's he doing,
orientated.
making it more perpendicular to the road, or,
It would be shifted like this, it would be shifted this way.
so
Kind of-
tipping
kind
it
of
up more
following that
perpendicular to the road?
Yeah.
220-degree line.
Yeah.
That makes it properly southern facing.
Yeah, and then there's trees that are all along, so that's why I included pictures from the road, because you won't be able to see anything. He actually has a couple of photos here of the location. I don't know if you want to pass this around. But really, the aerial view is what I thought would kind of most give you an idea of which neighbor would see what, right? So the one neighbor there with solar will be the one that would probably see the array.
If I can, I walked the site today, actually, Pam and I took a drive over there. And what the plan doesn't show is, you know, there's some existing trees, but I think it's important to note where those trees are. I don't know if you plan on clearing, do you plan on clearing trees as part of this?
I think we discussed 2 trees.
Yeah, and those are, basically, if you look at the lot line that is number 1 there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of mature trees that go down, and then there's one that was cut, that's actually on the neighbor's property.
Okay,
And that's where you saw those large soccer goals on his
yeah,
property.
yeah.
So then there's 2 ash trees that are, you know, not in particularly good shape, and those would come down to make sure that there's no shading on it.
It was a little hard without stakes in the ground, which I'm going to recommend stakes be placed, but the best I could eyeball, it seemed to me, coincidentally or not, that both your neighbors could see the solar panels, but you wouldn't be able to see the solar panels from your house, whether that's coincidental or on purpose, but why that couldn't be shifted, I guess, south a little bit, so that it would obscure it from your neighbor on the 1.57 acre lot. I think you could better obscure it.
Well, if it's closer to those mature trees, the
And it's
shading
still-
would then affect
It still leaves you,
the production.
you know, with the 693 lot who just put a new pool in the backyard, and they're gonna have a real good view of your solar panels as well, so. I'm just not sure how you came out with that particular spot, because it seemed to me like you can't see it, but your neighbors can.
Yeah, definitely, I didn't want to see it, so that is true. From that angle.
But
the
you
neighbors-
understand why that might not be right for your neighbors.
No, I know, but the neighbor to the northeast, they won't have a view from the house of it either. They would have a view from the backyard.
Well, they have like a
But-
nice
but they-
sunroom with
but
all
it's
windows
not-
on that one side, and we looked like, boy, you'll be able to look out the windows right at the solar panels.
Well, I mean,
Well, we could propose vegetation, but I don't know how much, and I know that solar law is new, and that's something that's in your law, so I don't know
Well,
what.
And I think, Michelle, maybe let's talk about, I mean, the setback requirement is 100 feet.
Right.
We're at 36 feet. I wasn't aware that we can make a variance to the setback requirement when issuing the special permit.
In this case, is there any allowance, Tom, in the solar law? Do you know if there's any allowance for the, is there any allowance in this solar law for,
Well, it's a special permit.
right? But is there any language that allows them to go appeal anything with the zoning board, or is there, that you know of off the top of your head?
Unless the town board did not specifically restrict the zoning board from considering variances, so
Okay.
they can.
But this would require a
100
zoning
feet all the way
variance,
around?
right, for the special
They would
permit?
have to go, yeah.
Because the requirement is that you be 100 feet off your property line, and you're not, so.
And is that a new requirement?
This is a brand-new law. You
That's a
are
brand-new
actually the
law,
first
yeah.
person taking advantage of
Yeah,
our
so
new
that's
solar
why I
law.
didn't, I applied as a regular permit, then they came back and said to come here, and I had a feeling with the 36 that you might say that we need to go for a variance.
We'll still be the body that issues the special permit in the event that you can get the zoning variance or in the event that you can meet the requirements of the special permit. But you do need to go to the zoning board if you want a variance.
Yeah,
to
and the
100.
thought is if he were to put it smack in the middle, it would definitely be visible in a ton of different places as opposed to putting it behind, you know, of course it's screening him, but it's screening a lot of other different angles. Where if it was in the middle of the property, it'd
Well,
be-
the house,
it would,
again,
we would have to put
And there's
screening
just
all
no
around it,
way
you know what I
to
mean?
make it work on the roof line?
it would screen that.
No, not with the, I mean, if you look at this aerial and really look at the front of the house, there is just tons of trees. There would be lots of trees that would have to come down in order for that to work.
And this is going to be selling electricity off-site, that's the.
No, it's just for him.
This is only for my use.
So usually they have a note about it, but I could add that to
They
engineering.
have-
The
Yeah.
best would be for them to
110%
ribbon where it's
of
going
their
to be and you do
current
a site
use.
visit. Right. And then you can see.
I could be wrong.
How big is usually one of these panel sets, like the
Well,
surface
this
area?
particular is 530 square feet. I didn't get to, it's 28 panels, it's 7 rows of 4.
So give me length and width.
Yeah.
What's the length of that?
It is, it's on page 2, actually. There you go. Now we gotta zoom out.
I think they're 7 by 4.
6 feet by a foot and a half, it looks like. 72
No,
inches
it's
deep.
bigger than that.
Oh, that's each panel.
Yeah, but that's.
There you go. So it is, I don't know if that's really visible, but it's 38 feet long and 13 feet wide. Up 12 feet is the maximum, I think that's in your law too, but we always put it 12 feet maximum.
On my house.
Hmm.
It's not huge.
Sorry,
And that's
we
what's
couldn't hear you.
required for that house, that size house?
Yeah, so we don't, we base these arrays off the production of the homeowner. We wouldn't want to go more, if you can't go over 110 offset, so we wouldn't be, putting him in that position.
I didn't see it.
Scott, did you have?
Oh, we're just checking something, trying to verify. Keep going.
Okay.
Why was the roof discounted? Why aren't they going up?
It's got too many-
Yeah, he's surrounded by trees.
Exposure.
Yeah, so we would have to take down a lot of trees. I mean,
So there's two ridge
Some of the
lines
others,
that
it's the
move to
same
the
as
south, and so you don't have a lot of southern facing roof because of that.
25 feet.
The roof kind of shades itself even outside of the trees.
R1.
So that's part of the logic of the ground mount.
So he doesn't have to go to the.
And I'm sorry, is this the correct orientation?
yeah. Yeah, well, I'll make sure, the next meeting, I'll make sure they're all orientated correctly. I just know that this was more of the correct location than what I saw when I was gone way.
So it looks like you've got a few mature trees, fir trees here, right? And then you've got, I'm assuming this would be leafy, does this leaf out, it's taller trees
Yeah.
down here? So I'm not sure how close you could get, but you seem to have some cover here and here. Is it possible to maybe move it somewhere over more like this location?
I mean, it's up to.
I don't know, Scott, you said you were at the property. Is that what you were thinking, somewhere
wouldn't
more
want
like
And we
here?
seem to
You
walk
wanna
a
try to
big
block it.
area, and the only concern I had was whether or not the septic might be there, but I personally don't think the septic is there.
I can assure you of that. The septic is actually towards the road north of that largest pine tree that's kind of smack dab in the property.
Like right here?
Yes, ma'am. No,
I think the septic's up here. I'm not aware of it.
Thank you.
it's actually right between here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
All right.
I'm sure that's where, because there's like a rock ridge right here, that's daylights. Flat.
Right here.
Down here. We thought like this would be a perfect spot, because then these trees block it from this house.
I mean, I know it's,
Here, that's looking right.
not necessarily the consideration of the committee, but if I did have to push it into the middle of the lot, then, I mean, that would kill this project for me because it totally changes the natural vista. And I tried to be respectful of that of the neighbor, especially to the north and the orientation of that. My neighbor Vasquez to the south, there's, you know, outside of planting, there's no place in the yard you could put that where it wouldn't be in a sight line, so I tried to show that too. And just a 100-yard setback would be pretty tough for,
100 foot, 100 foot.
Where was the
Well,
map that you had up
I
there
don't
with the
think
setbacks?
we're telling you you can't go to the zoning board, right? We're saying you could go to the zoning board and ask for a variance. But I think
We're gonna
Scott.
verify
We're gonna
the
verify that
necessity of
that's
that.
that's exactly how it
But you're,
reads.
I mean, I'm still seeing, like, could it be somewhere like down in this area and still be fairly out of the way?
Well, I think what he's saying is we're willing to go for the variance because he wants it in this location, right? That's what,
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the beauty of the home and the reason I want it to be a forever home for me is that it opens up onto this gorgeous natural landscape.
But yet you want your neighbors
But yet
to
you want
look
your
at
neighbor to be
solar
looking
panels.
at your
He-
solar
I mean,
panels?
he
I mean,
wouldn't,
that's
though,
not
and also
really.
it's adjacent to where.
They have the same, they have a
soccer
vista
goals
too,
are.
you know?
Yeah, I'm not trying to impede on his vista by any means. That's why that angle, if you look towards the house, it should be largely screened.
and you said you'd be up for putting some screening here, right? Vegetation?
I-
Yeah.
I think the concern is to the north.
Have you even broached the topic with the neighbors yet?
No, I plan to, I just wanted to.
Okay. So,
I
so I
have tried
think,
twice, actually, to the neighbor to the north to connect with them, but the
Can you zoom in on
schedules
the
just haven't
setbacks?
aligned.
Okay.
Sorry?
Oh, yeah,
I was just asking you to zoom in on the setbacks. I want to see what,
sure, sorry. Yeah. Come back.
I do think maybe if you were suggesting some plantings around the back of it so that their vista isn't looking at a solar panel, it's more looking at some short trees
Here.
or bushes that might screen it a little
No,
bit
no.
better, that
Go to
probably
this one.
mitigates it a
thank you.
little bit nicer. And Jason, you know that bar is, it's gonna be more perpendicular towards Loma.
No, I
right? It's
understand
been
that.
up.
I'm just looking to see if they can even get 100 by 100 by 100 all the way around. If they could, right in the middle of the property.
Yeah.
Well, they're 220 feet from the other side, right?
That's what I'm saying, they could.
They could if it was right in the middle.
It was smack dead in the middle.
Well, but he could do the same thing for himself. He could plant plantings to screen
I
it.
know, I was
right?
just looking to
So,
see if he can get to the requirements.
yeah.
And to the gentleman's concern, as you look to the house to my northeast, this is actually a pretty well-sheltered line with the exception of one tree that they had taken down. And so I think that could fill in nicely.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, actually, to everyone who's asking about the roof again, page 3 of the photos really shows how many trees are surrounding your house. Yeah, and then the road. Yeah,
Size requirements specified for accessory structure.
Yeah. Okay. So Michelle, I think the next step here, if you don't want to move the location, is you would need to work with our professionals to find out whether it's possible to request a zoning variance. I would say if it's not possible, still consider trying to meet the requirement, but maybe putting screening for yourself so that you don't actually see it either. Right, you could do the same thing, even if you did have to move it towards the center of the property. It looks like you've got some space here you could play with a little bit.
my question is so working with them, what's the determination timeline? Like, what's the next step for me with you guys as far as the variance? And
Well, the zoning board is
So,
a separate
I have a
board.
question.
They-
Yeah,
Scott
that's
said
what-
that,
I
Scott
know.
said they need to determine whether or not there's a possibility to go to the zoning board.
So I'm looking at
But I
page
think you
3.
should have them stake where they're proposing to put
There's
it.
a bunch of
I
trees
think
that are
you
behind your
go
house,
there,
but I look at the,
And then you can see for yourselves what the
I
impacts
look
might be.
at
But it's also the
page-
south, it's a
And,
number, it's the south-facing
Is-
I'm not a
orientation
solar
too.
panel
He's
installer,
got a
I
lot
can't
of,
tell you what.
Oh, so we're
will or
looking-
what won't
yeah,
work.
at an
so
angle.
it's both, yeah.
The trees that you see are.
it just looks like the entire back of the house is full of trees, that's all.
We don't have to weigh in on
The trees that
trees.
you see there are along the,
Yeah.
between the road and the
But
house.
we-
They
I
need
would
the site
suggest that
visit.
it would be
Between
greater
the
angle.
road and the house. It says front of house, that's all I'm just saying.
Taken that.
Oh, so that's missing.
On page 3.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
So that's the
Yeah,
front of the
I'm
house.
sorry.
What are all those trees that are
Oh,
behind the
yeah,
house?
no, that is the front of the house. That's coming at it from the side, though. So the trees that you see to the left are along the road. What you don't see in this photo are the very large pines that are just to the right side of this.
Okay, I'm just a top view, just looks like there's no trees behind your house, but, okay.
So Scott, you're suggesting to stake out the location and then possibly have the board do a site visit?
Yes.
So we can understand it, or is that
Yes.
possible? Can you?
Yeah, mhm.
You don't have to be fancy about it, but just.
Yeah, we've done that before.
You have the dimensions
know what?
there?
Yep.
You hold a public hearing, and at the end of the
We're
day, if the
looking
neighbors
this
don't
way
object, they
and
don't
that-
object, but
Right.
you know,
Actually, from here,
Right.
at
Okay.
least you'll see what you're dealing with.
Okay. So how long would it,
these huge
Let me just grab my.
The
my
neighbors
paper.
need to be able to see as well where it's.
Oh, is this looking from your, like your
Okay.
garage? Okay, I got you,
That's from the,
I got you.
so that was conforming.
That's his garage.
You're still looking at these trees.
Is that what it is called?
When would you want to set that appointment?
so how long would it take you to be able to orient?
Not long, I might, just a couple days, so I don't know, whatever works for you guys, we can make work as well.
Where's the back?
Okay.
No, this is the front. This
Do
is
you
the-
have times that are more convenient for you than others? Typically, we usually do a weekend so that the board members at work aren't trying to
In terms of.
time off from
a site
work.
Visit?
to do a site visit. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to coordinate on a weekend.
Saturday morning pancakes.
Okay. Do we want to do this Saturday morning, a week from, to give you a little bit of time?
Yeah, that's fine. What, I mean, whatever works for you.
How about the board?
Saturday morning works for me.
And
This Saturday.
you necessarily don't have to
Saturday
be
for me.
there, I don't think, you know, that's something Will go out and stake, and then, well, either me or Will will be there.
Site visit.
Yeah, we would want you there. So
Yeah,
if we have
me, or
questions-
somebody from Empire. I just said he might not have to be there, right? Or,
It's totally, I mean,
Okay.
it's his house, so.
yeah, as long as you're cool with us
You're not
there.
required to leave your property. You're more than welcome to join.
Yeah.
If we schedule a site visit, you should be there if you can be. If you can't
Yeah,
be,
of
as long as
course,
you have your
if I
representative
can
there,
be
that's also
I'll be
fine.
there.
Okay,
And at your convenience.
so Saturday?
Michelle, does this Saturday work for you?
Typically, it depends. My-
This Saturday,
Oh, this Saturday.
yeah.
What time? Do we know?
We'll make it work, so you tell us.
Whatever time works for others.
9.
9?
Earlier the better.
Earlier the better for me.
Okay.
I defer.
Can we get a reminder, Pam?
Might not work for me.
Everybody comfortable, 9 o'clock?
Sure,
Is there anybody that can't do that, that wants to join?
sounds like Pam can't do it.
I might not be able to do, but I don't think, I mean, I can go ahead and look at it tomorrow, so.
Okay.
If
Okay.
you can all do it, that's fine.
All right, so board members, we'll do this coming Saturday. I have to do math to figure out what day of the week that is.
And you can have that flag?
Yeah,
23rd, I believe.
23rd?
23rd.
Okay, March,
Just so you know, the engineers pointed out that the wind design load is actually 115 here, so just make sure that he,
adjust that.
yeah, make sure it's.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
okay. No, it's not, it's listed as the applicant requesting it be removed. Okay, so we'll see you on Saturday morning. Thank you very much for letting us do that. Sometimes it's just easier for us to be able to see something in person and get a feel for it.
Okay, and then from there, what happens after the site visit? Do we come, it's the next thing?
From there, I think we'll be able to help you determine next steps. You'll work with our professionals to identify whether you need to go to the zoning board next or whether you're going to come back to us
Okay.
and complete the process.
Okay,
Okay?
all right.
Good, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Do I need to do the site visit by motion, or are we okay to just schedule it like that?
No, it's okay.
It's okay. All right, so Pam, you've got us March 23rd, this coming Saturday at 9 a.m. And just for the purpose of our record, we did have one other item on our agenda tonight, Summit Woods. The applicant requested that we adjourn that to our April meeting, so we will move that to our April meeting.
Can I ask a question about
And this
that?
actually says April 16th, okay. I just wanted to make sure we didn't need a special meeting.
Is there some kind of movement to get us the latest materials
I'll be
for
in
that
visiting.
all assembled? Is that underway?
Yes, the applicant is creating a website to place all of the current materials. So and I don't mean to digress too much, but Summit Woods has been in front of this board since 2002. So they're going to pull together, bless you, all of their current documents. So there may be some documents still from 2002, there may be some that are much more current, there will be some much more current. That way we'll all know exactly what we need to review, as will our professionals know, because there's, bless you again, there's just been some conflicting dates and documents, so this will help us get everything organized. All right, great. How did we like the new setup with the laptop and the table? I thought it worked pretty well. Brian was a good first shot.
Thank you. It's interesting.
Okay. All right.
How did you guys like it?
I liked it, now that I know.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
All right, anything else for tonight? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Got a motion and a second, all in favor? Aye. Thanks, everybody, have a good evening. Thank you very much.